Okay, I hope y'all can hear me. I figured I would do this like a band aid and finally just have it over and done with. Because I've been postponing this video for about 5 months. Yeah. And the reason for that being uh, just potential backlash, I guess. Uh, yeah, just very selfish reasons. Uh, and really just for my own sake, because it's still quite conflicting for me to be feeling this way. So anyway, I'm just gonna jump right into it. For those of you who don't know, BTS is a Korean boy band, and they popped up on my radar around 2017, and it was kind of like a lot of armies, which is their fans. A lot of armies will describe it this way. It's kind of like falling into a hole, like or being sucked into a wormhole. You don't even realize it happening, and then all of a sudden you know all their names, and you know everything about them basically. And I will say this: I'm not like a bitter former fan or anything like that. It's almost worse actually. I'm a sad I'm a sad ex-army. And the reason for that being that, like, the moment I was saved, I sort of saw for the first time what they were, like the whole operation, because it's so hard to explain because it should be so obvious. Like, they're in the music industry, they're huge. I mean, it should be so obvious, right? And yet the reason why it's not, especially to armies, once again they're fans, is because they are different. They're not like Western artists. They're not mainstream in that sense, and they had a lot of struggles, and it's just, it's so easy to see why the deception is so strong around them. Okay, I feel like I need to explain like some of the obvious elephants in the room here. Yes, it's satanic. Yes, they worship the god of this world, which every successful artist does, unfortunately. But that's just the way it is, right? Once again, there are very strong reasons not to see this, not to be able to. And that's why I say that the deception is so strong, because once I was saved, it was like scales were lifted from my eyes. And obviously in many respects, not just with regards to them and this group and the industry, but it was especially impactful because once you fall into this hole, it's kind of like your whole world becomes them, and you become like bound to them. Well, it's idolatry, but you don't see it for what it is, and you truly, 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 genuinely think that and feel that, you care for these people, you love them even. So it's not so simple, and that's why I've I've gone back and forth about making this video because I, I don't have any confidence in being able to bring someone over from the other side, so to speak, because the spell is so strong. So yeah, once I was safe, the scales were removed from my eyes, and it really was a spell being broken. I can't explain it in a more accurate way. It really is an actual magical spell. I don't know how much of this that they're aware of. Actually, I've been revealed a few things in the past few days, and that is why I'm finally making this video. But I really don't know why I'm making it as a warning, or to bring someone back. I don't know why I'm making it, but I have to, because right now they are pushing an agenda, and I think we all know what agenda that is, right? Well, several agendas, but the more pressing one at this point in time. And I knew about this, so a part of me wishes that I had made this video a bit earlier, so it would be clear now, when it's been made so obvious, that this was always in the works. So right after I was saved, they released this video called, or this song rather, and I watched the video once because I still struggle like getting them out of my system. It's like the strongest stronghold in my life. It's ridiculous, but yeah, I watched the video and I immediately understood what it was about. So the Holy Spirit told me this is about the V. They do this symbol a lot in the choreography, but it wasn't just that. It was everything. The entire video, everything about it just screamed, we want you to take this. And at that point in time, nobody knew if they'd received it or not. Obviously they're like industry darlings right now. They play the underdog. I have to say this too. They really do play the underdog, and you can see it with like talk show hosts or other artists, whoever like they can get to talk ish about them. It's all staged. Like, they wouldn't, just think about it. It doesn't make any sense for anyone in a position of like influence to be talking poorly about these people, because they pretty much have the world in the palm of their hands. So why would you risk your career for that? No, it's all staged. I saw this through the spirit as well. So they play the victim and they play the underdog because it further like mobilizes the army, which is a very apt name for the fandom, right? And yeah, I'm gonna get to the way like the whole thing is played out. So it started with the video, and it was just like laid on me so powerfully that this is about, the V. And taking it and getting the whole world to take it, and there'll be like a utopia if everyone does, and it just seemed so delusional. And I actually I sort of like buried them that day, because that was not the people I used to know for all those years. Like I that was unrecognizable in my opinion. So I started there. And then recently, if you've been following the news, you might know that the UN had their General Assembly in New York, and guess who was invited? Not only to perform that song, but also to hold a speech, and they did a bunch of interviews as well with American media, and it was just so obvious that it was all about that. And actually, it was the first time I noticed like actual mind control, because it never really even like occurred to me that that's what was going on. I did have doubts, like how could this person be pushing this? Just knowing their personalities, like it doesn't really add up, but whatever. Maybe something changed, I don't know, but I actually saw, I don't think I should say who, but basically the person who would be most would be loudest, I guess, against conforming to certain like world agendas. I saw him glitch, and I've never seen that before. I've never noticed it before, and it completely broke me. Like it broke my heart. So there's that aspect. There's the aspect of like with everything that I've learned now, of them being, you know, MK Ultra into being still so hard to think of and say, but you know, into certain roles. Let's just say that. And yeah, so they're talking to someone at the UN and declaring, you know, for the first time that they've all got it right, and their only wish, because they want to go back on tour, right? Their only wish is that every single army in the world gets it. And this lady from the UN is like, oh, I did some research and I can see that you have 90 million followers, like or fans, 90 million armies around the world. And I'm thinking like, that might even be higher. Like that number might be quite a bit higher. So they're obviously invited there because of their influence. And they're obviously being used to push this agenda, and they've obviously been mind controlled to be compliant. And this whole thing is just, it's giving me like, it's making me feel so sick to my stomach. I feel so bad, so sad, and there's another agenda there. In this group that really disturbs me. It's so obvious. It's so funny. It's like the first thing that every, let's say, initiate notices. Like if you're an army and you show someone you know one of their videos, it's like the first thing they say. And somehow I just can't. I can't muster up the words, but there is an agenda there, and that's for sure. And that's also how I came to finally accept that this wasn't just like a random gathering of, you know, like destined people. It was much more calculated than that, and all of it is like this whole industry, not just the music industry, but the movie industry as well. I'll say this: there's one member who's particularly fond of Justin Bieber, and let's just say Justin Bieber and him have a lot in common. Yeah, I'll just leave it at that. So, I mean, it's just becoming so clear to me now that this was all orchestrated and arranged, and, you know, the God of this world, he's not omniscient, obviously, but he has a lot of strings that he pulls. And these people, whether willingly or not, they end up in slavery. That's it, and they just have to push whatever they're told to push. And it just breaks my heart because, man, I really, really, really like these people. Yeah, I had so much admiration and respect for them And this is not at all to say that I have lost all of that. Rather, it's more like I've gained a lot of sorrow and just I don't know. The whole thing is so painful now, actually. But thanks to God, thanks to the Holy Spirit, I can deal with this, because this is the funny thing. I had tried to leave the fandom on several occasions. I had tried to basically balance out my life, because when you're in the fandom, yeah, you can tell yourself all types of excuses and lies, but you're not living. You're not living. You're not living. And it's sad. It's really sad to say. But every time I tried to get out, I would fail. Literally every time. And I would go for week-long stretches, maybe even month-long stretches, and I feel like, okay, I'm finally growing up or maturing or whatever out of this. But then all of a sudden I'd just be sucked back in again. And it really is only through the power of Christ and the Holy Spirit that you can break these bonds. Because this is it's like a soul tie, but it's also a super powerful spell. And if you've ever watched any of their stages, any of their performances, you know that they're deep, deep, deep into magic, deep into the occult, deep into let's say weird MK Ultra sort of. Yeah, I don't want to get any deeper into that, but it gets weird. If you know anything about that world, it gets really, really depraved, and it gets really, really weird. So I think I mentioned everything I wanted to. Most of the things, at least. Once again, I feel like I have to reiterate this, because it's not coming from a place of bitterness or ill will at all. It's coming from a place of this world is dark. That's it. And I wish I could somehow lead them to the truth. I mean, it's just all I can do, and I really do. I pray for them, and that's pretty much all I can do. And I don't only pray for them, because I mean, you have to realize that they are slaves. It's not just something people say. It's real. But I mean, I pray for the army as well. So yeah, I hope this was informative. Hopefully not too traumatic. But yeah, thanks for listening. Bye.